सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ श्री गणेशाय नमः। ॐ श्री सरस्वत्यै नमः। ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवं परमानन्दमाधवम्। सर्ववेदान्तसिद्धान्त गोचरं तमगोचरं गोविन्दं परमानन्दं सद्गुरुं प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम्। हरि ओम। In the last session, we started seeing this path of nivritti. We said dharma marga is of two types or twofold: pravritti dharma, nivritti dharma. Vividho hi vedokta dharma. The dharma, the righteous path, as spoken of in the Vedas, is twofold: pravritti dharma, nivritti dharmascha. Pravritti dharma is the path what we generally call as householder's life, or actually it means the path of activity, where we are engaging ourselves into different kinds of activities. It can be social activities, it can be religious activities, it can be, daily duties, whatever it can. And the second part of that Vedika Dharma Marga is Nivritti Marga, where we take ourselves out of all the worldly activities and focus entirely on the spiritual path, what is generally called as Vanaprastha-ashrama and Sannyasa-ashrama. Right? So, verses 8 to 15 are explaining to us this Nivritti Marga and what are all the steps that are involved on this path of Nivritti. So, Shankaracharya ji in the 8th verse summarizes the entire Nivritti Marga and tells what all things we are going to discuss in next 6 verses. Ato vimuktei prayateta vidvan sanyasta bahyartha sukhaspruhassan santam mahantam samupetya deshikam tenopadishtartha samahitatma. Number 1, ataha. Ataha means therefore. Therefore means after understanding that the worldly actions cannot give me immortality, a person decides to walk on the spiritual path. How? Vimuktei prayateta, a person should put efforts for liberation. How? 2 things he should get first. What is that? Vidwan. Vidwan, here we saw Viveki. Vivek. capacity to distinguish between what is going to give me permanent joy and what is not going to give me permanent joy. Vidwan, Viveki. And Sanyasta Bahyartha Sukasprahasan, and becoming Vairagi, dispassionate. Dispassionate towards what? What is to be given up? We have seen this very carefully last time. Right? Objects are not to be given up. Enjoyment of objects is also not to be given up. What is to be given up? The longing for the enjoyment of worldly actions, of worldly objects, that is to be given up. That longing is to be given up. Sanyasta means giving up. Bahya artha, worldly objects. Sukha, the joy that comes out of those worldly objects. Spruha, the longing for it. That longing for the worldly pleasures is to be given up. That longing is to be given up. That is called as Vairagya. We will be seeing this Vairagya in detail also. So, Vivek Vairagya indicates the entire set of qualities that a seeker must have. What is well known, famously called as Sadhana Chatushtaya. So, after clearly understanding that spiritual path I should take up if I want permanent joy, one should equip oneself with these qualities. Step number 1 for Nivritti Marga. Then what is step number 2? Santam Mahantam Deshikam Samupetya. Approaching a teacher, a guru who is noble and large-hearted, who is compassionate. So that approaching a guru upasadana, approaching a guru becomes the next step on this Nivritti Marga. And what is the next step? Tena upadishta artha samahitatma. Assimilating all the meaning of the teaching given by him, given by the guru. So how to assimilate that? There are 3 steps we have seen: Shravana, listening; Manana, reflecting; Nididhyasana, meditating. So this way one should put efforts for liberation. This is the way that you have to put efforts. Vimuktei prayateta. Right? So this is what was said. Now, Shankaracharya then said, you see, now the elaboration starts on all these points. He says, first of all, let me tell you that this is your life. Though the guru is involved in giving the knowledge, but it is you who have to take responsibility of your progress. Uddhared atmana atmanam. Magnam samsara varidho. One who is immersed in this samsara samudra, ocean of samsara, one should lift oneself by oneself. Means what? Using one's mind which is purified by inculcating these values, one should lift oneself. Not be immersed in the worldly joys, but lift yourself. Take yourself higher on the spiritual path. And then what? Yoga arudhatvam asadhya. Making yourself fit by attaining the necessary means, samyak darshana nishtaya. With the clear, noble vision in the mind, you equip yourself with all the necessary means required on this path. While seeing this, we had also seen the samsara samudra, the comparison between samsara and the ocean. Ocean, isn't it? That rupaka, that what we call extended metaphor also we had seen, all the facets of that, right? Then, in 10th verse, again, what did he say? He said, if you want to come out of this samsara, what is the way? Sanyasta sarvakarmani bhavabandha vimuktaye. First, you give up all the actions for getting liberated from this samsara samudra, from this ocean of samsara. And then, yatyatam, put efforts. Put efforts in becoming what? Pandita. Pandita, the one who has got knowledge. Dhira. Dhira, one who is courageous. One who has become introvert. One who has turned inward. Atma abhyase upasthitaihi. And one who is ever engaged in the practice of self-realization. Means what? So we saw Swami Vidyaranyaji's verse also last time. Tat chintanam, tat kathanam, anyonyam tat prabodhanam. Continuously remain in the reflection of that self. Tat kathanam, if you have to speak about that. Anyonyam tat prabodhanam, if you want to converse with somebody, discuss about that self. Ever remain in that thought. This way we should live. Right? Now, why so much of importance is given to sannyasta, sannyasa, vairagya? That is the question that is often asked by people. Why? Why can't you say that do more actions? Because actions cannot give us liberation. This point, don't get bored with this point, because this point is going to come many times. We have to also understand in which era Bhagavan Shankaracharya was born, and in which era he has written all these texts. In that time, at that time, Karma Kanda, the ritualistic actions without understanding the significance, was very prevalent, and they had become very rigid society, where they used to say that just do it because it is said, don't ask questions. And therefore many people who could not fall in that line went away from this Vedic culture and joined different other philosophies and different other religions, Buddhism, etc. So at that time Shankaracharya ji is born and is writing all these things. So he is going to emphasize on this point that by mere action, liberation is not possible. He is going to do that. Knowledge is absolutely essential. He is going to do that, and that will also help us in clarifying any doubt if we have, that no number of action can give me liberation. That is the point that he says in the next verse, but also tells very beautifully what maximum result one can get from action. Let us read verse number 11. चित्तस्य शुद्धये कर्म न तु वस्तूपलब्धये वस्तुसिद्धिर्विचारेण न किंचित् कर्म कोटिभिः चित्तस्य शुद्धये कर्म न तु वस्तूपलब्धये वस्तुसिद्धिर्विचारेण न किंचित् कर्म कोटिभिः. If you are marking important verses, this is one of the very important verses. What does it say? Let us read. Let us understand the word meaning first. Chittasya shuddhaye karma. Karma, action, shuddhaye, is for the purification, chittasya, of the mind. Action is for the purification of mind. Natu, and not for vastu upalabdhaye, and not for gaining the vastu, gaining the reality. Vastu here means reality. Reality is that supreme Brahman. That is called here as a vastu. So action is for purification of mind and not for gaining the supreme reality. Vastu siddhihi, attainment of that reality, vicharena, is possible only by enquiry, vichara. Na kinchit karma kotibihi, na kinchit, and never, karma kotibihi, by crores of actions, by any amount of action, vastu siddhi, attainment of that supreme, is not possible. Okay, so chittasya shuddhaye karma, action is for purification of mind, natu vastu upalabdhaye, and not for gaining the supreme reality. Vastu siddhi vicharena, attainment of that supreme reality is possible only by inquiry. na kinchit karma kotibhi, and not by any amount of actions. This is the meaning of this particular verse. Now, what is it saying? Let us first understand what is action. Action, we all know. We don't have to explain. Now you are listening. Listening is an action. I am talking. Talking is an action. I am walking, eating, sleeping is an action. I am not doing anything is also an action, because I am not doing. It is also an action. I am breathing is an action. I am thinking is also an action. It can be manasika kriya, mental activity, but it is still an action. Correct? So, when we are performing these actions, what causes this action? Why do we act? So, the scriptures say the causative factor behind action is desire. Desire causes action. Isn't it? Now, that desire can be selfish desire, selfless desire, we are not going there now. But a desire causes action. Means what? I have hunger, therefore I eat. I am sleepy, therefore I sleep. I have urge to talk on Vivek Chudamani, therefore I am talking. You have urge to listen to Vivek Chudamani, therefore you are listening. An action is backed by desire. Okay. Now, based on what kind of desire it is and what is the method I use to put that desire into action, careful. Based on what kind of desire it is and what is the way in which I decide to put that desire into action, based on that, action can be classified simply into two: a good action and a bad action. Okay, absolutely basic I am talking. What do you mean by good action? When the desire is good, good means not just for yourself but for all, and the path that is taken to fulfill that desire is also good, then it is called a good action. When both of these are not good, then it is called as a bad action. Please understand, both should be good, then only it can be termed as good action. I have a desire, what? I want to have a TV at home. A desire is good desire, not bad. The nowhere in the scriptures it is said that one should not have TV. Nowhere it is written like that. So desire is good. But suppose I decide that therefore I will just enter into any shop, pick up the TV and get it to my home without paying. Now what has happened? Desire is not bad, but the action is not correct. Isn't it? Because that is not the way to get TV at home. You go there, pay whatever is amount and then get the TV, then that is good action. Now whenever I perform good action, I get punya out of it. Whenever I perform bad action, I get papa out of it. So this punya and papa, merit and demerit, are the results of action. Two possible results, punya or papa. Now if I have performed a good action, that means I have got punya, then that result will come in my life at a later stage as sukha, joy. And papa that I have got, that means I have performed a bad action because of which I have got papa, that papa will come to my life as a result of my own action as dukkha, sorrow. Okay, so good action results in punya, which comes in my life as sukha. Bad action results in papa, demerit, which comes in my life as dukkha, sorrow. Now when I get this sukha or dukkha, I again perform action, which again generates either punya or papa, which will again come to me as sukha or dukkha. where I will have to perform action again. Now this is called as karma bandha. It's called bondage of action. Okay. Now we are caught up in this bondage. So bhava bandha, when they say we are actually talking about this bondage of action that we are talking about. Now what is said here? Chittasya shuddhaye karma. Action is for purification of mind. Now, when does the action become a means for purification of mind? When the desire behind the action is not a selfish desire, when the action is performed for the Lord or for something higher than me, then that action does not give me punya or papa, but gives me chitta shuddhi, purification of mind. I'll repeat. In general course of action that we have seen, when we are working as per our selfish desires, the action we saw is of two types, good action, bad action, which will give me punya or papa, which will result in sukha or dukkha, simple. But when the desire that is backing the action is not selfish, but is selfless, and I am performing that action as with an attitude of dedication unto something higher, then that karma, that action does not result in punya or papa, but it results in chitta shuddhi, purification of mind. This is the highest result that an action can give. Okay. Now, suppose I want to go to Swarga. Now remember, going to Swarga is selfish desire, right? So the action that I perform in order to go to Swarga will be either good or bad depending on what kind of action I am choosing. Correct? Which will result in punya or papa, which will result in sukha or dukkha. But suppose my desire is not something which is selfish. And also, while performing the action, I am dedicating it to the Lord, then I will not get punya or papa out of it, but I will purify my mind. This is what is famously called as karma yoga. So we say generally, karma results in punya papa, which results in sukha dukkha. Karma yoga results in chitta shuddhi, purity of mind. Is this understood? Okay. Now we are not going to go in detail of karma yoga here. That is not the topic which is going on. At some point of time, when the situation presents itself in that way, we will see. But right now, what is the point Shankaracharya is making? Shankaracharya is saying action is for purifying mind. Natu vastu upalabdhaye, and not for gaining the supreme reality. Why? Vastu siddhi vicharena. Because attainment of that supreme reality is possible only by inquiry, only by vichara, only by thinking, only by knowledge it can be gained, na kinchit karma kotibhihi, and not by any amount of action. Right? To explain this point, Shankaracharya gives one example, which is probably the most famous example in Vedanta. And when I say that, those who have studied Vedanta will know which example I am talking about. That's the example that Shankaracharya gives in the next verse. Let us read. Repeat please. Samyak vicharata siddha rajjutatvavadharana भ्रांत्योदित महासर्प भय दुःख विनाशिनी. सम्यग् विचारतः सिद्धा रज्जुतत्त्वावधारणा भ्रान्त्योदितमहासर्प भय दुःख विनाशिनी. Second line is completely one word, okay? The Bhrantya is a separate word, but Udita Mahasarpa Bhaya Dukkha Vinashini is one word. Okay? So that's why, for the sake of chanting, we may break, but actually it is one word. Now, what is the meaning of this verse? Samyak Vicharataha. Through the correct inquiry, through the correct thinking, Siddha, that which is established. What is established through correct thinking? Rajju Tattva Avadharana. Avadharana means knowledge. The knowledge of the reality of the rope. Rope. Rajju. Samyak Vicharataha, through the right thinking, Siddha, that which is established, Rajju Tattva Avadharana, the knowledge of the reality of the rope. What does it do? Bhrantya Udita, born from delusion. Mahasarpa, great snake. Bhaya Dukkha Vinashini. Vinashini, destroyer of Bhaya, fear, and Dukkha, sorrow. So what is said here is Avadharana, that knowledge of it being a rope, which is born out of correct inquiry or right thinking, destroys the great snake born from delusion and its resulting fear and sorrow. This is the meaning. So this, as you all know, must have heard, is a famous example of rope and snake. What is the example? The example is that in the evening time, when there is little bit of light and lot of darkness, not night time of total darkness, but evening time, person is going on a road, and on the roadside sees a snake, which is actually a rope. A rope, Rajju, is seen as snake, Sarpa. Okay. Now the moment that person thinks that it is snake, obviously cannot be casual about it. So what comes? Bhaya and Dukkha, fear and sorrow comes. Why? Because it is snake. This is the example. That which is actually a rope is misunderstood to be a snake, and then arises fear, sorrow, etc., etc. Why? Because it is misunderstood to be snake. Now, suppose I want to get rid of that fear and sorrow. How will I do that? The only way is to understand it as rope. There is no other way. Isn't it? Somebody comes and says that, what? Are you afraid of snake? I will tell you one mantra. Chant that mantra and your fear for the snake will go. I may chant. For some time my fear may also go. But some other fear will come out. Some sorrow will come about. Somebody will say, no, I will teach you how to talk to snakes. And therefore you talk to that snake and say, don't eat me. Okay. I will learn the language of snakes. Somebody says, no. What you should do, you should do a special kind of puja, which will create a kind of, protection around you, so that the sarpa, that the snake can never touch you. See, all these are methods by which I can get rid of fear or sorrow for some time, but it can never be permanent. The only permanent method to get rid of all my fear and sorrow is to understand that it is not a snake, it is rope. This avadharana, this knowledge of the reality of the rope is born from the inquiry. What do you mean by inquiry? When I am seeing it as snake and I am getting afraid of it, some wise person comes there and says, oh my dear, it is not a snake, it is a rope. Then you say, no, it is a snake, I can see. There is that, face is there and their tail is there and it is black snake with ... And I have read somewhere that, black snakes are generally cobras, and are very poisonous. And the person tries different methods to explain to you that it is not a snake, it is a rope. You don't believe. Then finally that person goes and touches and you are afraid. You are saying, no, don't touch, don't. But still that person goes. Why? Because that person knows very clearly it is not a snake, it is a rope. The person goes and picks it up and plays with it and says, see, this is rope, this is not a snake. Then slowly believing in the words of that wise person, you go near, and the moment it is a rope, the moment you understand that, you take it and put it in your neck and start roaming. Isn't it? Then the fear and sorrow need not be removed. It is already gone. The moment you understand that it is not a snake, it is a rope, fear and sorrow is gone. Now this wise person is the Guru. He's trying to tell us that this entire world is just a delusion. Why are you taking it so seriously and going up and down according to that? It is just a delusion. It is not real. The reality is Brahman, which is the substratum of this entire world. Therefore, focus on the reality. Give up the delusion. We don't believe. The person is living, showing us that the world is not real. Then slowly we continue on that path. We start to think, and then dawn of knowledge happens that yes, Supreme Reality alone is there. The entire world which was appearing, just a delusion. So through this vichara, enquiry alone, I get self-knowledge by which the delusion, the ignorance and the resulting sorrow can be totally destroyed. Na kinchit karma koti bihi. The point is what? And not by any amount of action. Now, when it is said like this, we have to be very careful and understand that gaining knowledge is also an action. Careful. Gaining knowledge is also an action. Why I am saying like that? Because in order to gain knowledge, you have to listen to the words of the Guru, to the words of the scriptures. Listening is an action. You have to reflect, which is a mental action. Isn't it? So that knowledge which gives me liberation, we are talking about is an experiential knowledge which will come at the final stage. Till that stage, all the stages, whatever is there, are still part of action. But the only difference is what? This is a kind of action which is going to liberate me. How? The action cannot liberate us. How will it liberate? Because it will purify my mind and give me that self-knowledge which will liberate me. So, any action which purifies my mind is important for spiritual life. Careful. Any action that purifies my mind is important for spiritual life. Then that action can be japa, that action can be puja, that action can be shravana, listening, manana, reflecting, dhyana, meditation. The action seva it can be, where I am dedicating myself for some higher cause. If that action is going to give me purity of mind, then it is important for my spiritual path. But that action is a means for gaining purity of mind, not for gaining liberation. This is the point that Shankaracharya wants to make very, very clear. Even when we are doing Shravana, that Shravana is also purifying our mind. Why? Because we are not listening to something which is very worldly. And therefore, even that action is going to purify my mind, will prepare my mind for that self-knowledge by which I will gain liberation. So, what causes liberation? Self-knowledge. Action cannot cause liberation directly. Impossible. So, self-knowledge alone can give me liberation, and that self-knowledge is gained through inquiry. Remember that. Through inquiry. Right? What is action's role? Action, when done selflessly with an attitude of dedication unto the Lord, will purify my mind and will give me impetus for that inquiry and to gain that self-knowledge. Clear? Action at the most can give me purity of mind, which will make me eligible for inquiry, more focused in the inquiry, and will finally make me eligible to absorb this self-knowledge, which then gives me liberation. Understand the entire circle properly. Chittasya shuddhaye karma. Action is for purification of mind. Natu vastu upalabdhaye, and not for gaining the supreme. Vastu siddhi vicharena. The attainment of the supreme is possible by vichara inquiry alone. Na kinchit karma kotibihi, and not by any amount of action. I hope all these points are clear. Now, one more point in this. The reason to emphasize that action cannot give me liberation is also because in all our worldly achievements, the path is knowledge plus action. Careful. In all our worldly achievements, the means are knowledge plus action. Means what? I just gave one example. Suppose I have a desire that I want to have TV in my home. Now, first step is to understand what kind of TV I want, where do I get it. This is the knowledge part. And then I have to get up, go to the shop, give money and actually get it. Knowledge followed by action will give me TV. Suppose I want degree from college. First I need to gain knowledge, what exactly, which degree do I need, which are the colleges which are offering that degree, how many years of course, how much salary, the fees, etc. And then actually go into that college, attend classes, give exam, and then I will get degree. Knowledge followed by action. I want to go to heaven, I must know what karma I should do in order to go to heaven, and that knowledge of having only knowing that karma is not sufficient. I have to do it to go to heaven. Okay? In all worldly achievements, the means are knowledge plus action. Here knowledge plus action mean action which is after knowledge. Of course, before knowledge also action is required to gain that knowledge. We are not talking about that action. We are talking about after gaining knowledge, some action is required in order to get it. But in case of self-realization, knowledge alone is sufficient. Action after knowledge is not required. Why? Why it is not required? Because the worldly achievements are called as apraptasya praptihi. Apraptasya praptihi, attaining what is not attained. Whereas self-knowledge or self-realization or liberation is praptasya praptihi, attainment of what is already attained. What do you mean by that? One example we will see and the point will become clear. Suppose I don't have specs. I don't have specs and I have understood that I need specs. Why? because I have seen that, many times you all are sitting in front of me, but I am not able to see you. I am giving example, okay? Actually, I can see you. I don't need specs. I am just giving example. Otherwise, you'll say, what is this? Veggie looks at it, but actually he is not looking at. I am giving example. Suppose I understand that I need specs in order to enhance my ability to see. I first understand or need to get knowledge of what kind of specs I need, what is the number that is required, for my eyes, and then actually go to a shop, select a frame and purchase specs. Correct? This is any kind of worldly achievement. Knowledge followed by action gives me specs which I did not have. Now I get the specs, right? And while using the specs, sometimes you become little fed up and therefore you just move those specs from here to here, right? Ideally the specs should be on the eyes, but because now you don't need, you keep it on your head. And you get involved in some other activity and forget that the specs you have put here. And then comes an activity where you need specs and then you start to search for the specs everywhere in the house. I see plenty of people using specs here, and this example is no alien to you. You know it, you have done it 100 times. You search for it throughout, you don't get it, you become fed up with it, and finally you call your son or daughter or grandson or granddaughter and say, where are the specs? And the fellow comes and says that where you are, the specs are also there only. And then you say, what kind of son I have? And then you say, when you say that what, then you understand, oh, my specs are here. Now, the specs that you wanted, for which you are searching, the knowledge that the specs are already with me is sufficient. No action is required to gain the specs. Why? Because in the second example, specs were already attained. The only problem was I did not know it. Liberation is already attained. I am that supreme reality which I want to know. I am that already. But just that I think I don't know. And therefore, that ignorance only needs to be removed, which when removed by knowledge through inquiry, no further action is required. Another example, you are searching for keys which are in your own pocket. You search throughout the house and keep on searching, looking for the keys, and finally you understand what I was looking for is already with me. Now this kind of attainment, now can you say that keys were not with you and then you attained? No, they were already with you. It is just that the ignorance that the key is already in my pocket is removed by knowledge, and that removal of ignorance is what I call as attainment. This kind of attainment is possible by knowledge alone. No further action is required. Is it clear? So, liberation being the second type of goal, which is praptasya praptihi, attaining what is already attained, knowledge is sufficient. Knowledge is the single direct means for liberation and is the sufficient means for liberation. I don't need to perform any action after gaining knowledge to become liberated. Do you get this point? So this verse actually and the example that is given in the next verse are pointing to 2 points. Number one, before gaining knowledge, what is the role of action? The role of action is to give me chitta shuddhi, purity of mind. When will that happen? When I perform that action with selfless attitude and with the attitude of dedication unto Lord, karma yoga. This is the role of action before knowledge. That action will give me purity of mind, Therefore, through enquiry, I will gain knowledge, and that knowledge will take me to liberation. Point number 1. Point number 2, after self-knowledge is gained, no action is required to become liberated. Na kinchit karma kotivihi. Is it clear now? This is the point that Shankaracharya wants to say. And that's what now he emphasizes, or rather let us say he stresses upon in the next verse, that now inquiry is the only method. This is the nishchaya, this is the final determination. He says in verse number 13. Please repeat. Arthasya nishchayo drashtaha विचारेण हितोक्तितः न स्नानेन न दानेन प्राणायामशतेन वा। अर्थस्य निश्चयो दृष्टः विचारेण हितोक्तितः न स्नानेन न दानेन प्राणायामशतेन वा। He says, arthasya nishchayah. Nishchaya means determination. Determination of artha. Artha here means means. The means of knowledge. The knowledge as a means. Determination, drashtaha, is seen. What do you mean by that? I am now very clear on how to gain that knowledge, or here that artha can also mean that vastu, right? And what is the means? Vicharena. That it is gained by vichara inquiry. And how that inquiry should be taken? Hita uktitaha. Hita means what is beneficial to me. But generally this hita word here, it means a person who is talking about my benefit. Uktitaha. Uktitaha means through their words. So, enquiry should be in line with the teaching of the Guru or of the Shastra. Aptavakya, it is called. Aptavakya means statement of a person who is very dear, who is thinking about our benefit. When that person says something, in that line, I conduct inquiry. Through that inquiry, I will gain knowledge which will destroy ignorance and which will give me liberation. Take that example again of Rajju Sarpa, of rope and snake. The wise man came and explained to me, no, it cannot be the snake, it has to be rope. See, I can touch it. And then told by that person, on that line, I start to inquire. And then I gain knowledge, yes, it is a rope, it is not a snake. So, inquiry in accordance to or in line with the teaching of the Guru or of the Shastra will give me knowledge. This is my determination. And then he, just to confirm, he says, na snanena, and not by snana. Snana here means holy bath. You go to a holy place and do snana, no? In Gangaji, I will take dip in Gangaji for 15 times and then what? I will be liberated. Na snanena. See, when it is said that it is not possible by that, doesn't mean that you should not do it. Or doesn't mean that it is not good. No, that is not the point. In the scriptures, we should always remember this logic, nyaya, which is called Anya Ninda, Nahi Ninda Nyaya. That Nyaya's name is Nahi Ninda Nyaya. What does that mean? It means Anyasya Ninda, Anyasya Stutyartham. Something will be criticized not to criticize that thing but to praise something else. Careful. Something is criticized not to criticize that thing but to praise something else. And this is not just that the scriptures are doing, this we do every day in our home. Every day when we have two children at home, one is elder who understands little bit and another is very younger, immediately you start saying, you see now this younger one, no, is so clever, is much more clever than Bhaiya, he is going to finish the whole plate within 5 minutes. Bhaiya is not good for anything, see so many things are remaining in his plate. Now if that Bhaiya is little elder, then he understands that this is not to criticize me, but this is to praise that fellow so that he will eat. So my criticism is not meant for my criticism, but is to glorify somebody else. Isn't it? See, we always do that. When somebody sings, you say that, oh, you sing like Lata Mangeshkar only. No, if you look at it, it is glorification of that person. But if you look from other side, it is criticism of Lata Mangeshkar. You are bringing Lata Mangeshkar down to this person. But immediately we understand that it is not to bring that down. It is to bring this up. To glorify something, something else is criticized. Now here, the glorification is that of the knowledge, that of the inquiry, that through inquiry alone the knowledge that we gain will give me liberation and no amount of action. And therefore it will be said that it will not be possible by this action or that action. That does not mean that the action is not good. That does not mean that I should not perform that action. But the point is, by merely doing this, I will not gain liberation. So when it is said na snanena, remember that action of taking bath in a holy place will give me chitta shuddhi. You should do that. But don't expect that you will get liberation by doing that. Understand that maximum thing that you can get out of action is purity of mind. Na snanena, not by holy bath. Na danena, not by charity. Pranayama shatenava, or by hundreds of different kinds of pranayamas. Pranayamas is the what we say, different kinds of controls over your breath, and you have different kinds of pranayamas, no, isn't it? Anuloma, Viloma, Brahmari, and all these kinds of different pranayamas are there, isn't it? Careful, I am emphasizing on this point again. It is not said that don't do this. That no, Vedji said, na danena, it is not possible by charity. Therefore, Vedji, don't ask for crowdfunding money, etc. I am not going to donate. That is not the point. The more we perform selfless actions, more purity of mind we will get. We should. The point here is that those actions will not result in liberation. That's the point. They will give me chitta shuddhi if I do with that attitude, and which will prepare me for the self-knowledge, which will give me liberation. Yes. In other way, these are called as parampara sadhana. The means that are in lineage. In lineage means they are not direct means, but they give something which gives something which gives me liberation. So they are the means, parampara sadhana, whereas self-knowledge is sakshat sadhana, is the direct means. Nothing in between self-knowledge and liberation, nothing else is required. Direct, it gives me self-realization. Okay, this is the point that Shankaracharya wants to say. Now, another warning Shankaracharya is giving us. See, he is such a compassionate, all kinds of things that we do, he is warning us. What is he saying? Let us read verse number 40. Adhikarinamaashaste phalasiddhirvisheshatah upayadeshakaladhyah सन्त्यस्मिन् सहकारिणः अधिकारिणमाशास्ते फलसिद्धिर्विशेषतः उपायादेशकालाद्याः सन्त्यस्मिन् सहकारिणः. Also interesting verse, important also you can mark. He says, Phala Siddhihi Visheshata, specifically, Vishesha Rupena, Visheshata, specifically, Phala Siddhihi, attainment of the result. Phala Siddhi, Siddhi means attainment, Phala means result. Attainment of result, here, what is the Phala? Phala is liberation, Vastu, that reality, that supreme reality which is to be gained. He says, for that, Ashaste, it depends on adhikarinam. It depends on eligibility. So, specifically, the attainment of the result depends upon eligibility. Eligibility of whom? Eligibility of the one who wants to attain, of the seeker, of the student. That is his main point. He is saying, if a person wants to get liberated, then that achievement of that goal of liberation is primarily dependent upon the person's eligibility. Okay? Then he makes the second point. What? Upayaha deshakala adyaha. Upayaha means means. The means such as desha, place, kala, time. So the means such as space, place, time, etc. santi. They are there. Asmin vishaye. In this matter, in this topic, these means sahakarinaha santi. They are only subsidiary. They are auxiliary. They are only helping means and not the primary means. What is he saying? In order to attain liberation, in order to attain supreme reality, the primary means are the qualifications of that student or the seeker. Other means such as place, time, etc. are only secondary, are only subsidiary. This is what he is trying to say. Means what? You see, whenever we have to perform a particular action, place, time, etc. are primary important. Isn't it? And therefore, any program, anything that you want to have, two things you have to mention: where and when. Yes or no? You have to mention. It is primary. Eligibility is not primary there. Eligibility is where and when. He says, but in this matter, asmin vishay, or in some books, Santyasyam also is there in some different version. It's called Patha Bheda. Patha Bheda means it's difference in reading. Some books it will be written as Santyasyam, Asyam, Atma Vidyayam, Asyam Brahma Vidyayam. In this matter of self-knowledge, the primary means is eligibility. Secondary means is place, time, etc. Means what? You become eligible to gain that knowledge. That is most important. In which place, in which time, that is not important. Therefore, I want to start the study of Vivek Chudamani, but Vedji started on Amavasya. I don't know why he started on Amavasya. Amavasya is not a good day to start. See, for some action, it might not be a good day to start. For a particular type of action. But for knowledge, don't worry about this thing. Pujya Guruji, Swami Tejomayananji says very beautiful. There is a very practical text written by Pujya Guruji called Jivan Sutrani. Jivan Sutrani, the aphorisms formulae on Jivana. Jivana means life. In that he gives one formula and he says, Grahadasha apekshaya manodasha samikshaniya. He says more than the dasha, dasha means state of planets, you should take care of state of your mind, because that is what is more important. So Shani dosha has happened and therefore I should do this, and then only, all that is okay. I am not saying no for it. It's a science. Jyotisha is a science. You can do that. But in this self-knowledge, in this subject, place, time, etc. are secondary. Primary is what? Eligibility. If I am eligible, no matter where I am, no matter when, I will get liberated. If I am eligible. The place and time do not matter. Is this point clear? So primary means is what? Eligibility. Now this is what Shankaracharya is going to take as the next topic. You see how he is connecting. That Nivritti Marga, topic of Nivritti Marga gets over in the next verse. So he will be summarizing that whatever we have started from verse number 8, now will be summarized in the 15th verse. Then 16th verse onwards, he takes this topic of eligibility. Why? Because those are the primary means. So he takes what is called as eligibility. What are the qualities that you must have for walking this path of self-realization? So check for yourself, do you have these qualities? If not, try to imbibe. That's the next topic that Shankaracharya ji takes. We have also very famous story of Indra and Virochana from Chandogya Upanishad, where both Indra is the king of the Devatas and Virochana was the king of Asuras. Both of them went to Prajapati, Brahmaji, to gain knowledge. Both of them were taught same thing, but both of them returned with very different kind of knowledge. Indra in the beginning did not understand anything. First time, second time, third time, he did not understand anything, therefore kept on asking. But fourth time he got the point, who is this self? What is this supreme reality? He got the knowledge. Whereas Virochana came with understanding that this body is supreme reality. Therefore, feed the body, let the body enjoy. That's the purpose of life. Now, same teacher, same place, same knowledge is given, but different people are understanding differently. Why? Eligibility is different. The qualification that the student, that the seeker has is different. And therefore, Shankaracharya makes a point here, the important means is this qualification. So, as you are gaining this knowledge, please also improve yourself by getting this qualification right. Again, this is not eligibility or qualification, we are not talking about educational qualification. I hope you understand that point, that I am postgraduate, I am PhD and I am doctor and I have got 2 doctorates, and that doesn't make you eligible for self-knowledge. The qualification is very different, which he will be talking about. Okay, but that qualification is the most important thing. What is that qualification? He will explain. Alright. Now he concludes this topic of Nivritti Marga. Let us read this one more verse and we will stop for today. Verse number 15. Please repeat. Ato vicharah kartavyah jidnyasoratmavastunah समासाद्यदया सिन्धुं गुरुं ब्रह्मविदुत्तमम्. अतो विचारः कर्तव्यः जिज्ञासोरात्मवस्तुनः समासाद्यदया सिन्धुं गुरुं ब्रह्मविदुत्तमम्. Ataha, therefore, since it is established that the inquiry alone is the means for self-knowledge and liberation, Since it is established that action cannot give me liberation, the maximum thing that action can give is the purity of mind. And after gaining self-knowledge also, no action is required for liberation. After having established all these things, therefore, what? Vicharaha kartavyaha. One should, kartavyaha, should do what? Inquiry, vichara. One should inquire. Where? Atma vastunaha vicharaha kartavyaha. One should inquire into the self, the supreme reality. Jidnyasoho, by the seeker of knowledge. Now inquiry into the self should be undertaken. How should I do that? Samasadya. Samyak, sam means well. Asadya means reaching. After reaching well is not well, water well, okay? Well means good. After correctly reaching Gurum, after appropriately reaching the Guru, appropriately reaching means what? With total surrender. Not that, Guru, they said that you are important for this self-knowledge. Now I have come, give me self-knowledge. Shoot, tell. No. You cannot go with this kind of attitude to Guru and expect to gain the knowledge. With attitude of surrender, saying that Shankaracharya will dramatize that whole thing. We will see that. How you should approach a Guru, how you should tell. Right? But approaching that Guru with the attitude of humility, surrender, readiness to serve, and with full focus of what that Guru is teaching. With this attitude, Samasadya, reaching the Guru. And how is the Guru? Daya Sindhum is the ocean of compassion. Is another ocean. We have one ocean of samsara where we have fallen. So the other ocean will save us from this ocean. The ocean of compassion, that Guru, Brahmavid Uttamam, is the best knower of Brahman. Brahma Janati iti Brahmavid, knower of Brahman. Brahmavid Uttamam, the best knower of Brahman. Brahmanishtha. To such a Guru, we should approach with surrender, humility, learn, and then conduct inquiry. This is the spiritual path of Nivritti Marga. Gain the qualification, approach the Guru, and get the knowledge. Okay? So the topic that started on 8, you remember the 8th verse also gave us same 3 points. So at the beginning of the topic, he summarized that this is what I am going to explain. Then he explained in between with some points and examples. And then again he is concluding by saying that therefore, gaining the qualification that is required, one should approach the Guru, get the knowledge by doing vichara. Inquiry should be conducted, because this inquiry will lead to self-knowledge, which will give me liberation. Okay. Now after explaining this, now these 3 steps need to be explained further. Number 1 is gaining the required qualification. So that he takes up in the next section. The next section is one of the best portions of this Vivek Chudamani. Verses 16 to 31. He is going to talk about the qualification, which was also explained in the second verse as Pumstvam and Viprata. Second verse? Swami, second verse. You remember that verse that I said that you should memorize? If you memorize, then it will help, which is also a content for the entire Jantunam Narajanma Durlabam. Ata Pumstvam Tato Viprata. That Pumstvam and Viprata is the next point, which will be explained in verses 16 to 31. And then he will take up the next step of Guru Upasadana, how to approach a Guru. He will give an example of a student who is approaching the Guru and asking the questions. Right? And then the answer to the questions will be the entire Viveka Chudamani. Right? So, that much for today. Sufficient. Let us conclude. From the next class, we are going to begin with this qualification. humane or noble qualities that we must have in order to achieve this liberation. Very important section, because this is where we need to improve. These are the qualities we need to imbibe. And Shankaracharya ji said, this is the primary means. Desha, Kala, etc. is only secondary. Eligibility is what is most important. Right? That we will see in the next class. Alright. We will conclude. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Hari Om.